Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to CWU Live. A little bit of a different session, breaking up the relentless coverage of our critical disputes to sit here with our General Secretary, Dave Ward. Dave, talking about the big TUC rally. Are you all right?
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit, obviously, about the rally on the 18th of June. Going to get it in early because people are going to jump on and go, "Oh, I'm working that day," and like completely understand that the barriers our union particularly faces with the amount of our members that work on a Saturday. But if you don't work on a Saturday, then we really, really encourage you to get to London. All of our branches are putting on transport, and there's loads available on the TUC website as well. Dave, kicking it off, really. One obviously the questions that a lot of members would ask is, obviously we've got ballot in Royal Mail Group, we've got ballot in BT Group. How does this, if at all, does this sort of rally complement or benefit that?
Well, it clearly does benefit all of those disputes that you've mentioned. And what I would say is that the union at the moment is working flat out to get our members a substantial pay rise in all of those disputes from right across the union. We're involved in talks to improve our members' pay. And, we want to win those disputes. And when you look at what's going on around you at the moment, it's also clear that other unions are in a similar place. And, I think the world is at a point in the UK where we have to get substantial pay rises. So everything we do is always based around advancing our individual members' pay terms and conditions. So when we do our wider work, it's always with a view to how does it support that. That's the first thing we always say. But this is big in itself. There's a pivotal moment going on here in the whole of the trade union movement. And the trade union movement must come together. CWU has led the call for a new deal for working people, a new social settlement across the UK. It's about strengthening the whole of the trade union movement. And, it will support our individual pay ballots that are coming out, because we'll make the day based around some of those issues as well. We'll be publicising what the CWU is doing, what our members' struggles are at the moment. We'll be meeting other trade unionists. We'll all be talking about how solidarity can really help every part of the organisation. So, one thing I want to be crystal clear on, this is complementary to everything we're doing to get a yes vote and to win substantial pay rises for our members.
Thanks, Dave. Some great messages. We've got Justin, sorry to you, buddy. He says he would love to come, but he's broken his foot on delivery for Royal Mail. So best wishes to you, mate. I'm recovering for that.
We can get him a wheelchair for that.
Yeah, we could get a mobile scooter. That's actually true. So if you do want to still come along, Justin, then let us know, buddy. Darren Turner says all out on the 18th. Ben Watts brilliantly says CW in Bristol and District will be there. A coach leaving Bristol Mail Centre at 7:30 a.m. So you're having a lie-in, Ben, to your normal day, mate, aren't you? Stephen Watkins says would it be later? Obviously, just to reiterate, it'd be better if it's later. This is organised by the TUC, not the CWU. Obviously, there's always difficulties. Cleveland, Amal, Chanas, they're coming down. They've got a coach booked as well, which is fantastic, all the way from Cleveland. Cracking effort. And Sam says my wife and I are coming up from Worthing, so we can already see excitement's building, Dave. So if though, because obviously that caveat that people work Saturdays, if a member's watching this or a rep's watching this and they have got that day off, just, what would you say to them to encourage them to jump on a coach or speak to their branch about train ticket and make the effort to come down, not only on themselves, but with their friends and family?
Well, I'd like to think that people who perhaps have never been on a demonstration before, with everything that's going on at the moment, has life ever been more challenging on so many fronts? I can't remember a time in my lifetime where there are so many issues that are forcing people to struggle, basically, in how they go about their normal life. This is a fundamental moment for all of us. And I think I would strongly encourage people who have not been on these type of demonstrations to give it a go. We're going to make it a fun day. As you said, Chris, branches are being encouraged. Other unions are being encouraged to make sure that transport is laid on, so there shouldn't be a cost involved in that way, and give it a go. And you will see what it is that we're trying to build, that we're trying to bring trade unions together like never before in the UK. June the 18th, by the way, is the start of that process, not the end of it. We've got other plans, which I'm happy to talk about in a minute, which will build on June the 18th. But I think the fact that, you bring your family, bring your friends, talk to other people about the importance of change in the UK. Talk about the lines that we're saying, enough is enough. We can't carry on like this. Our own members, we know, are struggling. And these companies at the moment, across the board pretty much, are making absolute excuses not to reward our members on pay. And I'll tell you now, when you get all of the trade unions, all of the other fellow workers that will be out there making this argument, it doesn't give you confidence, it gives you strength, it shows that you can actually build support for this. And these companies will start to break. One by one, you will start to see some of these companies giving in to the pressure that workers are putting on them to give them the pay rises that they deserve. And that's why you become part of that by coming down. You become active in the campaign. You're going to vote yes. Hopefully, I'm sure you will. But you're also going to be part of a wider campaign that shifts the balance of forces back in favour of working people.
Spot on, Dave. One of the things we were talking about just before we went live is that obviously the BT, E and Openreach ballot goes out on the 15th, so the timing couldn't be more perfect for that. We'll be, at some way down the track to knowing exactly when we'll be balloting our members in Royal Mail. Of course, we'll certainly know where we are in that process by the 18th of June. On that day, we will have what we're terming as industrial correspondence within the block. So we'll be really pushing and promoting what's happening in Royal Mail Group. We'll be really pushing what's happening in Openreach, BT and EE. And that's just another example of how we can use that rally to raise the cause of our members in front of the whole trade union movement. So a comment on that. And also, Darren's made a really good point on here, and I'm sure you want to agree and offer your solidarity to our friends at the RMT for the attacks they're facing from the establishment and the media right now for standing up for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, exactly the points that are being raised by people watching this are the points that we're talking about in meetings. On Tuesday, I was up in Sheffield. There was people there from all different trade unions, frontline workers, telling their stories about the pressures that they're under at work. And it's surprising how similar they all are, not just on pay, but on the pressure that employers are putting on workers to work harder, faster, for less, and it can't carry on. Mm. And the way you change these situations is you build more and more support amongst ordinary workers to come out, support their unions, support their community organisations, and you will get this moving. Where this is going to be different, as Chris has said, is that we're making this a very active day. So yes, it's a demonstration. Yes, it's a rally, but all throughout, at every point along the way, we'll be using it to advance our own individual campaigns for our own members. On RMT, I mean, they have just delivered a fantastic vote after years of privatisation, after years of the railways being completely disjointed in its whole approach to providing a service. You've got a union there that's standing up for pay for its members. You've got a union there that's standing up for a better railway service for the rest of us. So you've got to give these people support. And we're the same. Our services that we provide are not just our members' jobs. They are services that the country benefits from. And we have got to advance all of our beliefs, all of our ways of modernising those services so that they benefit everybody. And, I'm saying this honestly, the people who are running these companies now, they ain't building for the future. They're building for their own personal gains. They're building for shareholders. And if I'm wrong on that, well, then start to engage properly in how you provide services. Start to pay the workers. Health workers come into it, social care workers. Everybody is feeling exactly the same. And the stronger we can make that link with other workers, the stronger our members benefit. And definitely, other workers. I mean, I'm speaking at the RMT AGM. Yeah. Their conference. It's equivalent of our conference. They call it their AGM. And I'll be delivering these messages. I speak to Mick Lynch, the General Secretary of RMT. We are working together We'll never lose the focus of our individual ballots and our individual campaigns, but we'll make sure that this solidarity that we're talking about now comes together in a way that benefits everybody.
Yeah, I was speaking to someone yesterday at one of the briefings, the postal briefings, and they said to me they saw Mick on the television, and he said if I didn't see his face, he said listening to his words is what the CWU's been saying for a long time. So it's good to see that join up. Some more comments, and Dave. Gary's telling us that he's going to be there. He's going to be stewarding and wearing his CWU hat. Good on you, Gary. Come and get us a high vis off us as well, mate. Brian's coming down from Tyneside. Clive says who knows, there may be some gaffers there. Obviously, we've got our Unite managers who are balloting for industrial action across Royal Mail Group. And I'm sure United Union will have a massive turnout, and we look forward to seeing them there in their numbers. Tony says, how can us members in the more far-flung areas get involved? Obviously, Tony, listen, you've seen even on this feed, coach from Bristol, coach from up in the northeast Teesside and Tyneside here as well. Everywhere across the country is an opportunity for you to jump on a coach or you to jump on a train. So if you do want to come, please speak to your branch. But if someone can't come, Dave, might be an opportune moment to talk up a little bit about this isn't the end, is it? There's more steps after the rally.
There's more steps on this. I can't make this point strongly enough that we're fed up with, turning up at rallies and then nothing happens afterwards. That's not what this is about. This is the starting point of a major campaign to rebuild the strength of the trade union movement, to bring about change, to give people confidence in each other that we can make change happen, both in work, in terms of our own terms and conditions, but also on the issues that matter to our members and matter to most people, like the health service, like social care, like transport infrastructure, like housing, like education. We're coming together here to change things because we're not waiting anymore for politicians to come to those answers. And by the way, these campaigns are already having an impact. The only reason that the Tory party put in their package of measures in support of the cost of living crisis is because the campaigns that we've been running along with other trade unions is starting to, put the pressure on in a way that they make the concession. There'll be more of that. And I heard Sunak on the telly last night. I might have heard this out of context, but I just got in and I switched the news on, and he was actually saying, the answer to the long-term cost of living crisis is higher pay for workers. So, we have got to take these moments and drive home our agenda. And this is why it's a coming together of all those issues. It's not focusing on one in advance of the other. So, get there by whatever means you can. Get there in support on social media on the day. The sort of things that we're talking about doing, we are putting forward a proposal for proper standards across sectors of the economy, led by trade unions. You may have heard the issues around, sectorial bargaining, where a lot of people make the argument, even some economists, that if you really want to drive up pay properly, then you have to have proper trade union bargaining and you have to cover more people in those bargaining areas. Well, we also have to have standards of pay across sectors of the economy. So one of our things that we're putting forward after the 18th is all unions signing up to the standards of pay, terms, conditions, working hours, how you deal with equality, how you deal with technology, all the key things that affect workers. We're going to set our own standards, let alone the living wage and the minimum wage. There's pushes now for £15 an hour in places like McDonald's and hospitality. That can be our campaign where members are not at that rate. And once these campaigns come together, you shift the whole debate back in favour of working people. So you can see I'm excited about this. You can see I'm seeing the join up. We also want to, I'm going to be honest, we are going to push for forms of collective action beyond June the 18th. Again, not to take away the sort of work that you need to do in order to win your own disputes. We'd never do that. We will always keep that focus, absolutely. But to build forms of collective action like I've discussed in the past, where during the pandemic, whatever you say, the Thursday night clat was an act of collectivism. it was people across the UK saying, we support those workers, we value what those workers do. They included a lot of pretty much all of our members. So let's create those forms of collective actions. Let's step it up. Not things that we can't deliver, but things that we can deliver. And we will push the debate forward. The New Deal for working people, it's got to be about proper contracts of employment for workers. It's got to be about the end of outsourcing. It's got to be about, obviously, higher pay. It's got to be about taking the pressure of, almost burnout on workers that's happening right across the piece, so that people can join a job, can get properly trained, and can actually have a decent job and a career. And these companies can afford to do this. It's just that they've chosen a different path. They've chosen the low wage economy. They've chosen the outsourcing, the privatization, because it avoids all of their costs. It's got to end. As the phrase goes, enough is enough.
Spot on, Dave. David Ray says, apologies if it's already been discussed, but for those who can't attend, will the speeches be streamed, recorded to people watch later? Yes, David, you have missed a start, buddy. We're going to have tons and tons of content, including all the speeches, but we do expect you, David, to be there. So make a bit more effort. Come on. There's a couple more things I want to ask you, Dave. You've been to lots of rallies over the years. We all have them, as will many of our members, and some better than others, some bigger than others. This is set to be massive, which is fantastic. But one of the things that we've been keen to talk about a lot is making the actual day enjoyable.
Yeah.
So it's not like turn up, stand around in the cold, bored, nothing to do, walk, a couple of miles, listen to hundreds of speeches, go home sort of thing. We want to make it fun. We want to make it family friendly. We want to create an atmosphere, create a really vibrance amongst our block. So, on the back of that, would you be encouraging our members to do their best to bring family, to bring friends, and make it a real sort of festival, if you like, of trade unionism?
Yeah, I mean, that is what is going to be different about this as well. We are actually asking each of our members that are going to make the journey to bring family and friends. If you can all bring 3 or 4 people with you, particularly if they've not been on demonstrations before, I think you're doing something there to help your family. You're showing your family, maybe for the first time, that what you're part of, and that this is a movement that's building. This is a movement that's being led by ordinary working people, in that sense, by trade unions, community organisations. Now, I have to say, this is not a day where the Labour Party come along and stand on the platform with us. And I'm not against Labour in that sense. I'd always back Labour. I'm a Labour Party member. But this is not that day. This is a day where we are doing something very different, and the fun part of it has got to happen as well. And I'll leave some of that to you. I have worked up a couple of numbers on my guitar. They're probably a bit old, but no, not really. So, we'll make it a fun day, because we know that we want to do more than what we've done before. And we'll make it a platform for the future day. And that's the promise here, is that this ain't going away. This is going to build and build and build.
Thank you. Darren Turner says, me and my 4 and 7-year-olds will be with me. They're really excited. They better get hats, or I'll never hear the end of it. They'll definitely get hats. You may not know, Darren, because you might have to miss out. No, all 3 of you will be fine, buddy. So within our block, Dave, we're going to have our own sort of mini stage where we'll hear from you, of course. We're also going to hear from our deputy general secretaries. So re-emphasize that point. So they're talking about the disputes, talking about the industrial issues, and linking everything up. Fast forward though to the end of the March, if you like, there's going to be the rally at Parliament Square. Hopefully, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of workers are there, and you have the privilege, obviously, on the members' behalf as General Secretary, to speak. What is it you think you're going to be saying? Have you started to think about that yet? And are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, no, I always look forward to those moments. But for me, I'll let you insert. I always believe that you've got to say to people what's going to happen, where we're going. Sometimes I leave the other speakers to talk about, how bad things are. I always think it's important that you set out what we need to do next. And a lot of my focus on the 18th will be speaking about what we do next. Now, obviously, you've only got a couple of minutes. It's a rally. But I truly believe that, you know, you can hear great speeches all the time. And then you walk away and you go like, I've forgotten that the day after.
Yeah.
You know, it was great at the time, sounded great. You've got to put some content in there that lays out what's coming after the 18th. Yeah. And I would encourage all speakers on that day, you know, from other trade unions that are going to be there, other frontline workers, to think about that, to commit to that. That's the message that we're putting into the TUC, is that we have to go there on June the 18th and lay out clearly what's happening after it.
Mm-hmm. So we're just rounding up really, Dave. We're sort of a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks from the big day. Everyone's really excited for it. I think you can feel the branches are up for it. Loads of people have been in contact about the day, you know, and all of our regional secretaries doing a great job as well. So thank you to all of you and all the branches. Any final messages to members who I suppose are just a little bit unsure and how important it is that just make that little effort and get down to London on the June 18th if they can?
Well, the final message is one that we've delivered before, and it's so true. It is that, you know, if you want change, if you want better terms and conditions, it's not a spectator sport. You can't sit outside of it and expect that to change. I also think that there's never been a more pivotal moment for us as a trade union movement, for where the political landscape is in the UK today, which is very bleak. We have to take these things into our own hands and we have to drive the agenda. And that's what your union is doing. And we'd love you to be there with us on that day, with your family, with your friends. We know that a lot of our members work, big majority of our members work, but there are ways people are on days off. Branches are looking at ways of releasing a few people if they can. So do everything possible to be there on June the 18th. It's going to be a really good day. And it's going to be the start proper of how we bring about and deliver a new deal for working people and a new social settlement for the whole of the UK.
Thank you, Dave. Firstly, thanks to Dave for his time. I know he's really busy with all the ballots and
we've had
all the stuff across the union.
Today,
it's a busy day, isn't it? And a busy time for everyone, including you.
Got a couple more in a minute as well.
You're non-stop, buddy. And obviously busy for you as members as well, as always. So thanks for tuning in.
Yeah,
and
thanks a lot.
Please get there on June the 18th. We really look forward to seeing you.